All right. Okay, so welcome to the video for the third Heights Catan qualifying tournament final game video. I'm here with Drew, goes by Dandy Drew online. Um, he is currently the #1 ranked Catan player on Colonist, and he's does quite a bit of online commentary. And I invited him to join and do some commentary on our final game from this spring qualifier we had. My name's Mark Rodney. I'm a Catan and helped start the Heights Catan tournament in Cleveland, Ohio. And we did one video last time, very low budget, and people had fun with it. So we decided to try to do commentary this time. So here it is. Drew, do you want to introduce yourself a little more?
Yeah, not a problem, Mark. I super appreciate it. So, hey, everyone, my name is Drew. And as Mark said, I go by Dandy Drew online. We do Catan commentary, kind of high level playthroughs. And I was very fortunate to meet Mark and the team at the Cleveland Heights venue. And first time I went there, didn't win. I got to the final table and then came back. I was like, okay, these folks are awesome. I want to give it another shot. And ended up winning that event, which was super cool. And, Mark reached out to me and said, hey, third event coming up. I'd love to sit down with you and do a video for YouTube. So here we are. And I don't know the results. It's been recorded. So this is not live. But as far as I'm concerned, it's all fresh. It's all new. So I'm super excited. And I appreciate the invite, Mark.
Yes, and I do know the results because I was the judge. So I didn't tell Drew anything. We told the players not to. So we're going to see his predictions, his commentary, and then do a recap at the end about how things went. And I just want to throw out the Heights Catan group. We have a lot of fun. We started with a bunch of local folks. The second time we had more people coming in out of town, and this last time we filled up with mostly people from out of town. But it is, in my experience, I've been to a few Catan tournaments, and we have a lot of fun at this one. People went out to get drinks actually before the final game, which makes it interesting, and after the final game. I had some food together, stuff like that. Just a really lot of camaraderie. And we might do some routine game nights and meetups at the Critical Hit Games shop. So if people are interested, if you want to come visit, or if you're from the Cleveland area, you could send an email to heightscatan@gmail.com and let me know, and we can try to and invite you when we do that meetup. So Drew, you're the tech man, so I'll let you go ahead and lead it from here. We've got the video ready.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll get the video playing and we'll just kind of kick it from there.
I'm Lindsay from Lakewood, Ohio. I play Catan. I'm a strategy analyst at work. That's what I do for a living.
Right. And what's your history in Catan tournaments?
I make it to the final round and then I choke, so I never win. Mark has beaten me in the final in Cincinnati.
But you did make it to nationals before.
I did make it to nationals before. I made it to semifinals. Furthest female to make it.
Nice.
Trying to uphold that, but probably won't happen.
I like that.
Anyways,
Okay.
don't post stuff.
Brianna.
Hi.
So where are you from?
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm from Rochester, New York originally, live in Pittsburgh now.
Nice. Awesome. And just got into residency.
Just got into anesthesia residency.
Yes. Not messing around, so she could put you to sleep.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
I need those drugs.
Mike.
I'm Mike Martin. I'm from Sagamore Hills, Ohio. And I can also put you to sleep as a biology professor.
Plays Catan with his family a lot.
They don't trade with me.
They don't trade with you. We trade with you. All right. Okay, Brian.
Brian Stover from Marietta, Ohio. I'm a financial advisor.
Nice. And you've been in tournaments before?
Yeah, for about a year now. Been playing in tournaments and trying to finally win one.
Nice.
Wait, can I add something?
Yes. Yeah, go back to Brianna.
I've only been playing since late November. We got this on Black Friday, so I'm pretty new compared to everyone else.
Nice. Good strategy.
And made
Play
it to
yourself
the final
down.
round. Yes.
And she was in the epic game that we got a video of separately where
Yes,
she
yeah.
played no one won.
Yeah, like you had 6 and then everybody else.
I was just
Like 8 and 9. That was kind of like your one game. We had to
Nice.
go back and forth through it and had 4.
Yes.
And then first choice was Lindsay. You chose first.
9, 5, 10.
I already took it.
And then who's second choice?
I'm second.
You chose second position.
Yes.
Nice.
We
And
stayed
then-
in order.
Oh, you just stayed in order. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Tessa.
So Drew, what do you think about placement on this board? Obviously, Lindsay already placed, but
Yeah. So my first time coming to the event, I got to the final table and actually lost to Lindsay. And I know a lot of my good Catan friends who went to nationals. They got to meet her and play against her, and she was vicious. She absolutely crushed. She beat me, and then she beat a lot of my friends. So for her getting the first pick and then getting the 9-5-10, which is a very nice or wheat sheep spot, it's really good.
yep, absolutely. Is there anywhere else you'd place other than that? Consider placing first.
I really like, so looks like Brian is blue. He went to 8-5-10, which I really like that. And it's high production. So it's one of the highest producing spots on the board. B, it's got two really good ports, which is the brick port on the 8 brick, which is nice because if you road settle onto it, not only are you getting on the brick port, but you're also doubling your brick production at the same time, right? So it's a simultaneous effect. But then you also have the 3-1, which just makes your overall setup and efficiency much better.
Yes.
So 8-5-10 is really nice, and it's also 3 unique resources. That's one of the things for second I'm really big about.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, and then it looks like
Mike
orange here,
placed next.
Mike.
Orange.
Yes, he's going 8-10-4,
Yep.
and it's a brick sheep ore spot. Is that correct?
That's right. Sorry about the glare, but yes.
No worries. So it is a 10 sheep. I just had a
Yes. Yes.
okay. Yeah, it's high production, 3 unique resources, but then also interesting choice here to point the road down that way.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I would recommend pointing towards the coast where you can get 2 settle spots. And usually I would only point in like this if I had a better sense of maybe getting an inside spot. But he is giving up the 3-1 port by doing this, which is a very interesting decision.
Yes. So you would have pointed towards the 5-4 or going towards maybe the 5-4-11.
So if I win 8-4-10, I would point to the right. So I would go towards the water, towards the
Oh,
coast.
I got you. Yep. Yep.
Because I want to get to a port kind of as one of my main opening goals to make my production more efficient. It's also a settle spot too, right? I mean, settle spots are points, and it's
Right.
the first 1 to 10 points. So I need to make sure
Yes.
to get the fastest points that I can when I'm playing these games.
Yep. What about 4th position now coming up?
All right. So, and just I want to confirm that is a 6-9-3, but that's a wood sheep wheat.
6-9-3.
And the bottom.
Yes, you got it. Yep.
I really like that. I'm a big fan of diversity. So having 3 unique resources, high production, that's usually what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like the ore. So we go 4-9-3 ore, sheep, and brick.
Yep.
Okay, and that's pink, correct? I'm colorblind, by the way.
Yeah, that is pink. We let her choose her color from the finals early. She said, "Can I just take my color?" So, yes.
Interesting. I guess my question is, what is she going to pair that with?
Yep.
I guess you could go something like 5-6-11, which effectively gives you all 5 resources, and then also going towards the sheep port. So I think that's where she's going to go. Which
Right.
actually I'm looking at that. Oh,
She switched it up. Yeah, it wasn't final, I guess.
well, now that I kind of see that you could go 9-3-4 down to the sheep port, it does make a little bit more sense. But then you also open up the 6 wheat for somebody else.
Right.
So
And someone would have to take the 6-9-2 in that case. Is that right? Or the port.
yeah, I mean the 6-9-2 is a really nice spot. I mean, I think even, for instance, Brian would love that spot.
Right.
So now she's going to 6-9-3.
Yeah, I think at this point she hasn't finalized. Everyone kind of agreed. So you put your roads down. That's when it's
Yeah.
final. So she's still thinking it out.
So I actually, in this case, I do actually like the 6-5-11.
Mhm.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think at this point you should probably be playing for the port, the sheep port. But here's the issue. Like, let's say she on her 6-9-3 now, let's see she wants to go to the sheep port, right?
Yep.
It's a road settle away.
Yeah.
Well, look at where orange is going,
Right.
which is like now there's some tension. There's a race to who's going to either get to the 8-3 or to the sheep port. Versus if she did take, let's say, the 4-9-3, she's a road settle to the 6-3, and there's kind of no tension as far as racing or, you don't have to get into those early battles that potentially could decide your position or not.
Yep.
So these are little nuances that I'm thinking about when I'm placing my roads.
Mhm.
Now as far as now, there is the 6-2, which might be the safer play, but
Yep.
it depends on how confident she is in terms of getting that sheep port, because I think the sheep port's really nice here, but she's going for it.
Yep, she's putting roads down.
All
Well,
right.
she's almost putting them. Fourth always gets extra time. You know, it's like, all right, I got two to place here. You know?
Right. Ooh, risky.
Yeah.
I mean, the question, does anyone take 6, 11, 12 here?
Right. That would really hurt.
Probably not. Looking at this board, I think 6, 11, 12 might be open.
There's more good wheat out there, so someone's not going to shoot for that 12 wheat. And in terms of sheep, there's decent sheep elsewhere, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, there's just a lot of spots that are available. For instance, this makes sense. You know, you can take the 10-3. I mean, this is scary now because Orange has the starting road. So
Yes.
if Orange wants to blast to the 8-3 and try to take away the sheep port opportunity, that really does hurt Pink quite a bit.
Yep.
Now, as far as Brian here, so he's next to Pig. Am I correct here?
Right. Yes. Orange place. Now it's back to second placement, so that's blue.
It's really good for Brian here. So he can take the 4-9-11, which makes a lot of sense to me. It's going to give him all 5 resources. It's going to have a little touch of brick that will pair really nicely with the brick port. And I think the 9-10-2 will be open because I think Lindsay's going to be incentivized to take the 8-4-3.
And he's got good diversity of numbers as well.
Oh yeah.
Right. And he's in place for a road potentially, right? Because he's got the opening. So if he gets that 2-9-10, like you mentioned.
Yes, he's got the road network. Yep. I know he's going to do it.
Yeah. You've played him before, right?
Well, he's also he's a very good principled player, and that's just, it makes a lot of sense. And I think for Lindsay, she could take the 9. Yeah, she could take the 9-10-2, but the 8-4-3 it's just really good for her, right? So
She
it's
didn't
like,
have to
why?
think about it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And she's got good diversity. She's got 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10.
Lindsay has a very good game. Yes. So Mark, based on this, who
Yep.
do you like? What setups kind of catch your eye here?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I'm like, if I had to choose one, I would probably go with Lindsay. I tend to like having diversity of resources, diversity of numbers, and also just I think more about the matchup. The only downside is I've been thinking more lately about the matchup. You've got an 8 brick and a 3 wood, so you're going to be probably trading for wood to use that brick often. It's you're going to end up with more brick than wood. And also she has no chance for longest road pretty much, right? Unless she pulls out some longest road cards or something. But what are your thoughts though?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the other 2 players, right? This is my first time seeing them.
Yep.
Well, I suppose I did meet the 3rd place position, the first time. I just didn't get to really know them. But right now, Lindsay and Brian just have very strong setups. And frankly, I'm a big fan of Brian's setup for the fact that he has multiple threats. He can go for longest road, probably the best to take longest road, but then he can also buy development cards and potentially fight for army too.
Right.
So that ability to have dual threats, have all the flexibility of the ports, and the 10-9-2s open for him.
Right.
It's
Brian
kind
and
of
Lindsay are fighting for their port though, that brick port.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, there
So the rolls are coming up, by the way. So the 6 was rolled. That's the first
6
roll.
rolled. Okay. Big number.
Yep.
So 6 here on this board is wheat and sheep.
For Pink.
And it's coordinated. That's correct. Yeah. Interesting. Now, Lindsay does have the advantage of starting with a road, right? So she could try to gun for the brick port.
Yep, she builds a road. Yep.
Yes. Which does hurt Brian a little bit, but he does have the 3-1, so he's not completely down and out as far as efficiency. It looks like another 8 just hit the board.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, that was the first 8.
First 8, yep.
All right, so 8, from what I can tell, is the brick roll.
Yep. Right, and the other 8 is orange brick. Yep.
And
there was a running joke through the game. Lindsay said, "That's brick for everyone," and someone said, "Except for you." So every time a raid's rolled, brick for everyone except for me.
Okay. Though Pink does have the sixes, which is nice. It's kind of nice when you dominate a roll in that way. And see, this is what I was talking about earlier, right? This issue of now your best advantage of getting the sheep port is you're racing with orange versus, oh, we have somebody hurling the dice dangerously. Nice 12 bomb though.
Right.
All right, so nobody's on the 12 wheat. That's all right.
Yep. So it was a cocked die. I'm sure people in tournaments
Mhm.
know that you have to put the dice on top of the other, one die on top of the other. If it slides off, it doesn't count. And so that one did not count.
Okay, so it's just a re-roll, no big deal.
Yep.
11. Okay, so we've got a lot of brick on this table now. There's
I'm sorry.
rough-
That's the brick for everyone. I'm sorry. That's where Lindsay does not get a brick, but everyone else does. The purple does not get a brick.
Interesting. Okay.
Again, brick for everybody but me.
There it is. Yeah. That's a lot of brick on the table. So we currently got about 9 brick on this table.
Is there any wheat out there?
What do you want to give?
Well, we all have brick, but it would be brick.
So let's see here.
I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Brian's trying to get wheat. That's blue trying to get wheat from people.
Yeah. So for Brian,
no
he started with the ore and the sheep, right? So getting that wheat would give him that development card to kind of empty his hand.
Right.
So there's a couple rolls. 9 definitely is going to be a big roll on this table in terms of 9s and 5s are going to be kind of the deciding rolls here because that's going to be the rolls that are going to empty people's hands on development cards and roads.
Yep.
Specifically Brian and Lindsay. Okay.
So that was an 8.
Okay, so just flooded with brick. This makes sense. So this is pink, right? So she's 4 for wanting the sheep.
Well, you know,
I mean, I
had
think
blue, I
there's
believe.
in there though.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was pink. That was a mistake. What I wrote. Yes. So
Yeah, it's
pink
fine.
is traded 4 for 1 to get a road.
Any tickets you guys want,
It's in the 9.
we can let us know.
There's competition over here on the sheep board.
Yeah. Brian's not wrong. Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, like, it's gonna be a key.
If you like any other
Yeah.
sports,
Settle first.
They're racing.
Well, maybe,
For us
yeah.
too.
Wow.
Would you have raced in that case? Would you have gone for it?
Your game's kind of dependent on it. Now you do have the 6, 11, 12, but I think there is a really big reward of another 8, man. These 8s are cooking. There's just a really big reward of getting that sheep port for her.
Yep.
But here's the issue. Look at the wood roll. It's the 3
Right.
for both of them.
Yes.
So it's kind of like who's going to get the 3 first and be able to play the settle. It's risky. It's about a 50-50 at this point. Who's going to get that spot?
Right. And pink just 4 for 1 to get a wood. I mean, for her to get to that point again would take her a long time. So she's really waiting for that 3 basically, or a trade, which is not as likely.
Right. Because the reality is if the 5 rolls, Brian's going to be using that wood unless he can really get a very advantageous trade.
There's no wood still either, is there?
No 5s.
I have
No.
wheat.
You want more brick?
I offered that trade. You're gonna go with him?
No.
She hasn't said a word yet.
Sorry.
What about 2 brick?
No, I would need like 3 brick.
We might be talking here. 3?
I would give 1 wheat for 3 brick.
Big trade.
And you look at Brian's hand here is flooded with brick down here in the bottom left.
If I do that.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just gonna send it to the port for brick and for a wheat.
Buys a development card.
Yep, you got it.
All right. Not
You
a
had to
bad
get rid
play.
of those cards. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one's bought a development card. There's a lot of utility. I mean, knights are always nice just to kind of put some pressure. Definitely the 5 wheat is a huge block for Brian. So there's this interesting concept of what we call like advantageous rolls, which is you want to have rolls on the board where you benefit the most. And in Brian's case, the 5. The 5 is the 5 wood's nice, but the problem is when the 5 hits, the 5 wheat's also hitting for everybody else.
Right.
So I can imagine a world where if he's getting knights, he's really putting a lot of pressure on the wheat so that when the 5 does roll, he's the one that's getting the most value out of that potential roll.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yep.
All right, so really nice block there, 5 wheat. Really hurts mostly Lindsay in this situation though,
Is anyone giving away
Okay.
more? Probably not.
because the 6 wheat is also available for pink.
Right.
I can do just a wheat. 2 wheats? Just 1 wheat.
For what now?
4.
Sorry.
Do a sheep.
Not one I can give.
So pink's trying to get ore.
Let's do the next roll first. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No one trades.
Okay, man, these 8s are crushing.
Lots of eights.
I mean, Lindsay, she's going to be loving her life when she gets to Brickport and the 8s are rolling.
Right. Yeah.
So, Mark, what was your experience? Oh,
Me.
Anybody else need an ore?
Oh yeah. So now she's offering an ore. Pink had just asked for one.
But probably not.
or is a nice trade on this table right now.
Indeed, I mean, thank you.
Do you have 2 bricks by chance?
She's trying to 4 for 1.
Oh.
For wheat? For a wheat.
Giving her a seat.
Me? You rolled only 2 9s. How is that a city?
I'm not counting. Watch him roll it now.
Lindsay and Brian know each other well, so
Yeah, that's
a lot of banter.
that friendly tension, right?
Right.
But they also know they're both dangerous players, so there's kind of that,
Right. Mutual
Keep 'em-
respect.
yeah, keep your enemies close kind of thing, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, this lack of 5 is really hurting Brian. I mean, we talked about him having this advantage on road, but then,
Yes.
he was the chosen one, the road master, and we haven't seen a single road from him, but everyone else has dropped the road. So very interesting development for him.
Right. Yeah, it kind of hinges sometimes with those, 5 9s that you kind of count on. If they don't roll, it can really mess things up.
True. Okay, so Brian is robbing Lindsay, it looks like, which makes sense. I think she's got a lot of good cards. The wheat, the ore, all works well for him. Probably the worst case is if he grabs a brick, because then he's going to realize his hand is flooded, and it looks like he's just got brick and sheep. So
Yep. Who would you be blocking the most if you're trying to at the table talking to other people like, hey, we need to watch out for this person? Who would it
definitely Lindsay's position
be?
from Brian's perspective.
Mhm.
Though I don't know if I necessarily agree with that block. I think if he really wants to hurt Lindsay, hurt her position, of course, and this is, you should be hitting the ore, because the ore is what's going to be the cities, the development cards. It seems a little bit harsh to solo block somebody this early, but the thing is, she does have a big advantage on potentially getting those development cards and going for army. So I like the 9 ore here. Orange gives wheat.
Well, like you said.
Oh,
It's a settlement. Nice.
So he settles.
we saw the future, Mark.
Yep, it came. It came. So looking back on it, I mean, you sounded very reluctant to place like Pink did with that road in that direction and then build a road. So that kind of verifies it.
Well, kind of when it placed down, you realized what was going on, which is, well, there's this tension. Orange wants the 8-3 and you want the sheep port. Only one can get it.
Right.
Versus if you did go the 4-6-3, then
Yes.
you open up the 6-3 for you. So these are little things that you just got to be conscious of when you're looking at the board in the position.
Yeah. And I find it can be helpful. You could talk to Orange when you're placing, be like, look, I don't want to block you, man. Let's, I'll place here. It's not ideal for me, but this way we don't have to race. It builds some,
Yeah. I mean, the way she placed it with the 6-9-3 and then roading to the coast, it's just a race. It is what it is.
Yep.
Okay, so I think there was a development card bought by Brianna. Was that her name?
Yes.
Do you want
Okay.
a brick?
I do.
I do too.
Do you guys have 2 bricks by chance?
So he's trying to 4 for 1 for the settle here.
Mm.
100% for a wood.
For 2 ores?
Ooh, caught Brian's attention. You see that?
Mhm.
Brick for 1 ore?
I would.
I can do both to both of you guys.
Hold on. Would you
See-
do 2 for 2?
I prefer to do for one and 1 for 1. But if I do a 1 for 1 with her and you're not gonna do it, that's my only route.
What's
Do
your
you have
plan?
two?
What's your plan?
4 for 1 wood settle.
Just settle.
Yeah.
What's your plan?
Settle.
Settle on the 8.
Mhm.
If I give you 2 wood for 2 ore, you're gonna settle on the 8, or 2 brick for 2 ore.
Do you have wood?
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a bad deal for
Or I
Brian
can do 1 for 1, 1 for
Yeah.
1, or
because she's going to get it eventually, and
Right.
the ore is somewhat rare for him,
Yes.
and his hands flooded with brick anyways.
Right.
you 2 brick?
I do.
But I can do that with you too.
I'll
if you
do
want.
2 for 2.
There you go.
You can do it with him.
That's fine.
Yeah. See the pressure of when she's like, "I'm going to take it," and he's like,
Yes.
"Ah, no, I'm going to intercept this now."
Yes. Yeah.
That's a
but when you're
very-
on the- yeah.
For wood. 4 for the wood.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
good strategy. We're gonna say, yeah. And when you're on the receiving end, when you see they're gonna trade with someone else, you're like, let me just take this. You don't, you have to think quicker, you know.
Yeah, good players play that dynamic all the time. Or they're like, "Well, I'll just trade with him." It's like, "Okay, fine." So that's a good strategy. Oh, 10. 10's a massive roll here
Mm,
because it's Brian's wheat, which,
Right.
as far as I know, that's the first time it's rolled.
right.
Ooh. Nicely done.
Yeah,
Big
good
city.
timing too.
And, this was, I wonder if Lindsay regrets that trade because she pretty much gave him the city with the 2 ore.
Yes. Even if she knew that was gonna happen, though, I think I would have done it. I'd take that settlement on a brick port and give someone a city. But I mean, do you agree or no?
I think in hindsight, the city's so strong for him, and he's already got the advantage of the road building, the open settle. It feels like that was more of a win for Brian, considering how rare the ore was at that moment.
Well, and I guess if you look at it, if she had waited one more turn without a trade, she might have gotten it anyway. Is that what you're thinking? She would have gotten her settlement and not given him a city.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That trade gave him the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So where are we at here?
The video got lost for a period of time, but it'll come back.
No worries. 8
Yeah.
block. Rob's blue. And I think this is fair. The city's a really big win for Brian. So immediately makes you a target.
No one has ore.
I mean, luckily for him, he got most of the cards out of his hand that were
Yes.
really dangerous,
I'm
right?
just gonna buy a really expensive.
Got rid of the ore, he got rid of the wheat.
Seems to be my MO.
Trading for wood.
So are we going 6, 11, 12? I think so. Yeah. Now, alternatively, something that could be worth it is actually the 9, 12, which is both getting the ore, but also the wheat port.
Her hand's not off yet.
Yeah.
Yep. There you
I'm glad she was listening. 4. Okay.
That's a rare one too in this game.
Yeah, there's a few rolls here that are kind of like the board wakes up a little bit when it hits, which is the 4s, the 3s, and the 10s.
Yep. And I gave her a dev card, so
As far as I know, I believe Brian also still has a dev card. Nice brick. Waiting for those 5s though.
Is there wheat available?
What do you want to give? Wood?
Would you take a sheep?
I need a wood.
You would take a wood though? Would you give 2 cards for a wood?
No.
I'm about to roll 3, so be aware of that.
Are you going to?
He's
Yeah.
he's learning a nice little technique there.
I hope so.
Blue gives 1 wood to pink for a wheat.
Development card.
Nicely done.
Resistance. I like
He did that.
confidence.
Oh, it was you. Yeah. He
I'll build
was
it
like, I'm
up.
gonna roll 11 and rolled an 11. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
roll a
gosh.
12. Rolled a 12.
I like this decision. I think a lot of people would run to the 10, 9, 2. You
Okay.
can't risk losing your port here, right?
okay.
If Lindsay pulls a road builder, if she can somehow manufacture 2 roads, unlikely she was going to roll 2 roads and use it that way. But getting the port is really nice here. And I feel like the 10, 9, 2 in most cases will be there for you.
Yep.
So nicely done, Brian.
Yeah.
All right, 5. And that wood's valuable here. So I expect him to be hustling it and getting some really good deals for it.
You don't have more wood. You want to get it traded, right?
Sorry,
You don't have more wood you're trading?
potentially.
What do you want?
He needs
He's already
wheat.
using it.
What do you have? I mean,
Wheat.
would you do 2 cards this time?
See, that's why he didn't say wheat.
Let me think.
I'd say like just a wheat and an extra card, any card you want.
Right.
And that usually pushes gets it across.
Oh, nice. You did take that settlement away from her.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I can give you 2 wheats.
For wood?
Yeah.
He's going to snap. Yeah.
Didn't take long. Yep.
No worries.
So if you were pink, you just hold out. Just 1 wheat. Sorry, that's it.
Settle.
Because he needs it.
Well, this is, I think, in light of her getting the road settle,
Good ores.
Yeah.
it makes a lot more sense. Like that's actually a really good play for her because now you're picking up the best ore and you're getting the flexibility of the wheat port.
Yep.
9. And then immediately you settle there. It's probably the best feeling in Catan.
Yes. Someone else in the room said we call that. I think it was dividends. Immediate dividends.
Love it. And I think the 9 is well, really only 2. Well, no, I mean everyone wins on the 9 except Orange here. Orange has a really hard game because it's hard to know what Orange is playing for. Right? Like probably not getting road. Doesn't, if the 4s go crazy, maybe there might be an army play there.
Yeah. Do you think that was kind of doomed from placement, or do you think I guess the rolls haven't been great for Orange, right? I mean, the 8s have been good. But
Yeah, I think this was part of the symptom of pointing to the 8-3, which is you're lacking the flexibility. Like the ports are a critical part of the game. I mean, it's almost 80 to 9% of the games, you really need a port to be the most effective you can.
right.
So you're kind of going against principles, not going for a port.
Yep. Yeah.
And, you know, it's the same thing. Like pink could have won that race. And now you're,
Right.
you're really in a world of pain. So as this board's developing, Mark, I mean, who do you like here? What's kind of the general temperature in the room from your perspective?
Yeah. Well, I would say at this stage, I know the outcome. I'm going to flip it back to you because I don't want to tamper with the. What are your thoughts?
Well, the 6 just rolled, and again, I think Pink's the only one 6. I think Brian's he's in control at this point with the fact that. So here's the thing: there's a concept called positioning, right? Which is depending on where you sit next to other people, you might have a position advantage. So, for instance, if Lindsay plays a knight, that's all well and good, but then what happens is Brian goes right after her.
Right.
So she can play a knight, move it, and then Brian can just move it right after her turn and put it back on her. And now she has to go all the way around the table. And now she's playing this kind of, it's playing catch up. So Brian has the positioning on Lindsay. He's got the city and he's getting close to getting that port as well. It's looking just good for him.
Yep.
But we're still
And
early days. Nicely
and
done.
I could speak to the. What was that? The city? Oh yeah, she got a city. Yep.
Yes, that's a big play for her.
Yeah.
And nice
The one
use
thing
of your plenty as well.
Yeah. I was gonna say I would mention just because you weren't in the room in
Mhm.
terms of you've heard some of the audio, but Brian and Lindsay, purple, blue and purple are more talkative. Kind of have made some plays, reflecting experience a little more. And I'd say orange and pink, definitely involved, but not quite as insertive necessarily.
Got
And I
it,
think
okay.
slightly less experienced. I mean, actually, I can't say that about Mike. He's been playing a long time, but maybe part of it's just personality. But he was sitting back a little more.
Well, now Brian's got the settle. So now the port's live. The city's down. The 9-10-2 is no one's even close to it. And he's a knight ahead of the table. It's pretty
You
scary.
just wrote 11, so you all should actually have brick.
I have a brick, but
What are you looking for? For a wood?
4 and more.
For a wood or more? I'll do a wood.
Oh, I'd make that 2 cards, but
She's not wrong.
Hmm.
I like how when we started, we're like, oh, it's equal odds with the brick and the wood, and I went with brick.
Yeah.
I have regrets.
6 again. So I think in this position, I mean, Lindsay is kind of she's in a good position to fight devs. So is Pink, but somebody's got to fight devs here. It's tough because who's also going to fight road? You know, Brian's more or less 2 roads from connecting and having 6 roads.
Right. Yeah, these doesn't have much competition on that.
Now, what do you
So
think of the? Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, what's the path to victory right now? You know, let's start with Brian.
Okay, so let's just kind of do some accounting, right? He's got the city
Yep.
and 2 settles, so that's 4.
Right.
He's got 1 down dev,
Right.
as far as I can see.
And a knight
So-
up already.
So he's in a. I mean, settle would be what, 5. Like he could actually close this out pretty quickly, where it's like he could settle army and road in like city or something. Like there
Right.
is a path where he can kind of like what we call blitzkrieg it, just get everything and just try to go for the quick win.
Yep.
But really, somebody here has to start rallying the troops and saying, hey, we need to be fighting development cards and really hurting Brian here. And the thing is, he's already got the 11 brick. The 8 doesn't hurt him.
Right.
You know, you've got to hit him where it hurts, which is something like the 10 or the 4, because then that's going to stop the development cards and keep at least a little bit more balance on the table.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah,
going to be, it's all about the development cards at this point. Who's going to be buying development cards and who's going to be controlling the pace of the board with those knights?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think hitting the 10 makes a lot of sense because that blocks his development cards as well as settlements, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's usually wheat is considered kind of the go-to resource because it's used in absolutely everything with the exception of roads.
Right.
So I think the 10 is by far probably the most effective block. Also, the 5 is a free card. You can consider hitting that.
Yep.
I suppose you could be feeding road to Pink, you know, on the basis that she does have the most space.
Good point.
But the reality is Brian can easily connect, which I don't see why he wouldn't go for that when he has the best winner brick on the table.
Right.
Okay, so we have a 7.
Who are you blocking then? Hitting blue like we've been talking about?
You got it. I think you got to.
Yep.
I think at this point, the 5 and the 9 are pretty good blocks. Probably just the 5 on the basis that it's a free card. Hey, but people are scared of war, man. It's dangerous.
Yeah. So let's look at purple then. What's the path to victory for Lindsay?
Lindsay's in a tough spot. Oh, nicely done. Nice city there by orange. Okay. That's a pretty sizable move. I do think getting a port might be kind of the next, like you've got your production up, but now let's be more efficient and effective with that production.
Yep.
I think going for the port's going to be a really nice play for him. As far as Lindsay, she can only really go for development cards here. I suppose if she gets the right, you know, like a road builder and she can go to something like the 6-3 and try to take advantage of that space, maybe roads in her future.
Mm-hmm.
But you just keep running to this disadvantage of the fact that Brian can easily connect his roads.
Right.
That's always hanging there for him when he wants it.
If you were Lindsay, would you consider your next move trying to wrap around the ore so that she's got a city at a settlement? So every time that hits, it's 3 ore, and every 5 is 2 wheat. So you can, you know, just city out every time.
Yeah, I think she has to go for the fast points, which are just the road settles, right? So, I mean, if you look at her position, she has essentially 3 road settles in front of her position.
Right.
Which is 3 points, but also it's more production that you can go and use. So,
Yep.
Okay, so I believe Lindsay rolled the 7.
That's right. Yep.
So I'm very intrigued to where she's going to put it.
Yeah.
And let's see, you know, we'll see if the positioning of Brian, if he has a knight or not. We'll see if that comes into effect here.
The one thing we're not seeing on the video well is the dev cards, and I don't have that added up, but recall at this stage, pink and blue have dev cards down. I don't think orange had any.
Mhm. I think here it's either the 10 or the 5.
Yep. Which are, like you said, the 5 is any card you want, but the 10 is too weak. So I'd lean towards the 10. What are you thinking?
She might have 5.
Well, the 5 is also
That's
just
6.
the wood for the settles and longest road, right?
You're at 6.
Right.
You're right. You're right. 5, 6,
How am I at 6 points?
4, 5, 6.
The victory points.
Victory. What did I say? Victory points until proven guilty. That's right.
That's a pretty. I think that's a pretty fair statement.
Or using that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always tell people consider every single development card worth 1 point
Right.
because it's true.
Yeah.
I'll do it. How many cards do you have? 3. I will still film you.
Don't watch the shuffle.
Can't see what your
She's
cards are.
too smart
anyways.
for me. Like.
Okay. I'll buy a dev card.
Ooh. Now I'd be
Good.
curious to know if that was a steal based on looking for a specific card, or if that was a steal based on threat perception.
I think she had counted up victory points, potential victory points, because pink had a few dev cards, even though she only has 3 settlements.
Okay, so how many devs does pink currently have?
Well, I wish I had that listed. I believe 3.
Okay.
And she has played at least a knight, if not. So blue's playing his second knight.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, the positioning, right? It's like,
Yes.
yeah, and and that there you go. He grabs another knight, and that positioning is going to keep strong.
Yes.
Though we assume though if Brianna has 3 or 2 or 3 devs, she'll probably move it.
Right.
Yeah, this is not really going probably in Lindsay's favor. But you never know. Sometimes you pull the Monopoly card and all of a sudden you mono for 5 or 6 ore and have,
Right.
have a crazy turn.
I didn't really put it, but
Okay. So she did have a 3rd knight, largest army.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take. Take from.
You know what I have?
Do I know what you have? I don't think I do. I haven't been attentive. An 8 was rolled or something.
Do you mind pushing the knights forward or the largest army so we could see it? 'Cause
Yeah.
then it'll
yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to be good about that. Keep it in the video.
Nicely done.
I mean, we just rolled an 8, so that's we're both on that before we blocked, so we have the same thing.
So is blue the bigger threat?
I've got brick. She's got an ore and 2 brick.
I think so, on the basis that again, road is always there, but he's also fighting army. Like he's got 2 knights played. So Brian, it feels like Brian's getting away with a lot here to me.
Mm.
Like he's
So
not
she
getting
robbed- Yeah.
Lindsay, but she got robbed by Brian. Now she's getting
Right.
robbed by Brianna. It's
Right. And I think in that case, Brianna was robbing Lindsay based on what she wanted to get. She's thinking of which.
I
card.
think so. Yeah, maybe because she
talking
needed
about
1 card for a development card.
Yeah.
I think she got an ore. 10. There's that roll.
There it is. Could have been blocked. So that would have
Yeah.
changed things. If you were pink, you might have placed it on the 10 wheat, right? I would have considered that. That would have been a big block.
Well, now Lindsay's starting to get a little momentum, though. I mean, she's buying a development card, or at least the last 2 turns she's bought one.
Right.
But remember, we talked about kind of advantageous roles. She shares a lot of the same roles with Brianna, right? She's on the 9, she's on the 5, so it's kind of like, what's her big advantage?
Right.
I suppose if the 8 starts going crazy, she can start to use a brick port finally.
Yep.
But oh, there we go. A nice block. So they end up blocking the sheet.
Right.
I think that's the one role that, from Brian's perspective, he probably really fears. Because that's the role that can really change the game in terms of pink and purple building cities and buying devs. Everything else is kind of like, it's just preparing your hand for the 9.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's quietly at 5 points. He's got 4.
Yeah, Orange is kind of just
Cruising over
building.
Creeping up. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Look at 4 knights over there. Come next to
I
you.
mean, you don't have a port.
She's already
I
got
have no
an army.
ports. I have shield
But-
cards.
He's building.
He
Talking
doesn't-
himself down.
For cities, though.
Classic.
He doesn't have like a good.
I don't have anything. I don't have a good strategy. good
As,
looking
he
face.
doesn't have anything, but he is in the lead right
What's
now.
my way here?
Well, you are.
That's Mike Orange saying, I don't have anything. I don't have good strategy.
That in terms of research.
I will say this.
They called your name and you were like, okay.
If actually Orange has a deceptive amount of wood. If you look at that 3 roll,
Right.
What do we think about the 10?
in terms of pips, if you count up the dots, it's doubled on the 3, so that's 4.
The 10 because it stops him from cities,
I was
but
thinking the 3.
And then you have the 3 on the coast, so it's really 6
Yeah,
pips of wood.
it's-
he's blocked
Right.
4 times.
So when it rolls, it's gonna be very impactful.
Usually I slow down at the beginning. I want to do that.
All right, so now the 10 is getting hit, but it just rolled. That's the challenge.
Right. But statistically, it's no less likely.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Orange is in a, if that 3 goes off and he could get something like the 6, 11, 12, like, road settle.
Yep.
I think he's becoming a lot more viable because now he does have the road potential.
Yep.
And the fact that he's got his city down, now Brian's getting hit. But I would say in Orange's position, the hardest thing he can do is get that first city. So the fact that he's got that far, that's really good on him.
Yep.
But I think from also Pink, this is kind of the conundrum that you get into in a lot of games where you're buying development cards, but by doing that, you're giving up the production of going for that early city. And what happens is as the game continues, you start to lose pacing, right? The people who are getting the city rolls are going to outpace you on getting armies. So my intuition tells me that that's kind of what's about to happen.
So you would have waited, held the potential dev card, tried a city earlier.
It all depends.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying she's the only person on the board who doesn't have a city.
Right.
Versus Lindsay, now she's getting double on the 9 and the 5 compared to
Absolutely.
Brianna, right? So it's like, in theory, Lindsay could buy twice as many development cards.
Yes.
But I will say, I think Lindsay's getting, she's getting some interesting, double year plenty. It's not great.
Right.
It's not great.
Ideal. Not ideal. And so now Blue just played his 3rd night. So he's tied with Pink in knights, but he needs the 4th to
You
take
don't
it.
have what you want.
So he has enough brick to 3 for 1. So if he can get a sheep or an ore,
really don't.
he can buy another dev.
Good try.
What do I want?
I don't know. I'm assuming orb,
Or a sheep, he's going to say.
but I just used it, so.
You collect in increments of 2, though. You only spent 3.
You're right.
Doing the math.
But I only had 2, and I had to do 2 for 1 for another orc. So if I had more than 2, I would have used it. Because I did 2 bricks and 2 ores.
I don't believe you, but I'll still take from her.
I don't usually lie.
All right, so it looks like he's got 5 brick. So he could do like a 2 brick for a sheep or a 2 brick for an ore. Be interesting if he tries something like that.
Well, no, he's got the 3 for 1, right? Not the.
Yeah, but he's got 5 brick, so he can
Oh,
only
I
3
got
for
you.
1
Yeah.
once.
Right.
Ooh, he holds. I don't hate it.
Mhm.
And I actually
Also-
just realized this. Lindsay actually has the city on the 843,
Right.
which is actually really nice.
Yeah. And the brick port, I mean, which is why that's a good block right there.
But in a sense, though, it's kind of in my mind oh, that's funny. She flipped over a card.
Actually, I was the judge and I told her, she kept talking about what she had, not saying what she has. And I was like, technically, you can show your card to everyone. It's not against the rules. So she did.
If you want to, yeah.
She wasn't
You know-
lying.
I mean, what's nice for her though is that the 8 is kind of a bonus roll because she's already got the Orweed and Sheep on the 9, 5, 10. So in a way, she has an engine that could run perfectly fine. And getting the break is just a nice flexibility play because you can use that to port for whatever you want.
Right.
So the 8 does suck for her, but she still has the 9, the 5, and the 10.
Right.
Okay, so I believe the 6 just rolled because I saw a wee and sheep with a pink.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
Another night over there, so I'm having some regrets.
So she's saying she's regretting, but she could have got a dev card, played it safe on the largest army, but
It's risky. This is like, you're playing. I think Brian gets 1 dev. He's probably going to end up seizing army.
right.
I don't know why I'll do this if we're not getting any wood. I feel like I kind
Yeah, the 3 hasn't rolled.
Right.
That's rough. Oof, oof, oof. This is scary.
Yeah. There's his wood.
So as far as I know, Brian has 5 brick, 3 wood, and 2 wheat. So a 4 would be a city. Any roll is essentially a city or a dev.
Yeah.
Or you can just grab the settle if he wants. But I think for him, if he's pacing army, he just needs to grab 1 knight. So I think Brian will probably port for development card and see if he can seize army from her. Let's see it happen, Captain. Ooh. So now we're seeing effectively what 5 points.
And potentially largest army within a turn or 2, depending on if he gets another dev card.
Yeah, that's 2 points, and then longest road another 2 points. So right there, you could see a world where Brian could get the 9 points in the next orbit or 2.
Right.
Though,
Build 2 more roads.
ooh,
Longest road.
no, he's gonna go 6-2 for sure. Yep.
Almost.
Because if he gets another night and lunch.
So tell me about that decision, going for the 6-2, because he needs that wheat.
No, not yet.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing when you have a setup with a road game is you want to be progressive, right? You don't want to be building roads of nowhere because ideally I want to be taking road while setting up extra points on my settles, which is exactly what Brian's doing. And effectively now, no one can stop his longest road play because now he can just wrap around the bottom over the 5-2. Versus maybe if Pink did have, let's say, a road builder, she could have cut to the 6-2 herself and it doesn't necessarily kill Brian's game, but it does diminish his potential.
Right.
But look at this hand. Oh my God. I'm looking on the top screen. She must have at least 12 cards. So if I'm Brianna at this point, I'm buying devs. I'm just buying as many devs as I possibly can.
Yep.
Like you've already got your city. Army's kind of fragile.
Mm-hmm.
So right now she's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
With multiple devs down, which again, I don't have that listed, but. So she did it. She bought a dev card.
Okay. Still
And
has
she
a hand.
dropped on a 7 at one point earlier in the game. There was a 7 where she had 9 cards, I think, or 10. But she got lucky this round.
It's interesting. She didn't seem to push for another development card, which usually if you didn't pull a knight, you start to get a little nervous that it's like, oh no, I need to get a knight.
Yeah.
But something tells me maybe she got another knight and she kind of just felt a little bit relaxed with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't and Brian pulls a dev, it's like, well, you kind of lost. 9. Ooh. It's he needs the sheep, but at the same time, you're getting a little bit concerned about the ore hitting the board.
Yep.
Oh, passes. Now for orange, this is the issue. I mean, you're banking a orange and pink drop cards. Was this a 7 roll?
A 7, yep. Yeah. They
Oof.
both had to drop. Yeah.
Orange without the 3 though, Mark, it's tough because
Yeah.
you do have essentially have a bunch of brick with the 11, the 8, but you only have this one roll that's going to give you the wood.
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about, proportionality when you're placing, you know,
Mhm.
having a 8 or 6 brick with a 3, you know, or 11 wood. To me,
Yeah.
I never want that, you know.
Yeah, ratios. And that's why
Ratios.
getting the port's important, right? It's because then you
Right.
can offload some of that extra brick and
Yes.
make it more useful for you.
Absolutely. So how's the board looking now?
Well, I think we're going to kind of find out what's going on here. Again, we're not seeing a knight. Ooh, nice block. I still kind of like Brian's chances. Because she's not playing a knight, so we're assuming she doesn't have a knight. But she does have, 2 roads away from longest road. So like let's say she has a VP. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Road settle could be the win for pink. So like if she pulls like a road builder here, all of a sudden now she has a real opportunity to win next turn.
Right.
If she has a VP in hand. So if that's a road builder, she could be scheming some wins.
Yep.
So I think strategically as Brian, I'm thinking, okay, well, road is becoming a bigger threat. I have to secure that.
Mhm.
But likely now that she's bought a second dev, she probably gets a knight. Or at least hoping it's just a knight. Anything else is kind of scary.
So if you're orange or purple, are you kind of losing hope at this point, or?
Yeah, I mean it's looking tough without Orange's ability to drop roads, because that's the real advantage for Orange, is to take advantage of some of the space, and you're not buying development cards, so you're not taking army. You might be able to pull some victory points, but even if you pull 2 victory points in a row, you're still sitting there going, "Oh, I'm stuck at 7."
Yeah.
And kind of same with Lindsay. I mean, she needs to be able to get those fast points with the road settles, but the 8's the 8 and 3's been very quiet for her.
Right.
So the question is, can she maybe get a little bit lucky on the dev cards, maybe pull that big monopoly?
Right.
And then there's the 3. I see Orange. Yeah.
So excited. Yeah, he was predicting 3s every time. I'm going to roll 3 this time. Finally.
This is scary. This is scary because now the dynamic of the board explodes, right? Because everybody gets wood but Brian, and Brian's kind of main way to win here is road.
Right.
So now it's like, oh, well, damn. I mean,
Everybody trading wood. Everyone gets multiple woods.
I think we all need it.
Could you give 2 bricks?
and look at Orange's hand. Oh my goodness.
I could give 2 cards though.
What about
I
a-
would give 2 cards for a wood.
Brick and a wheat.
Would you do a wheat and a sheep?
No, I'm sorry.
Their trades are dangerous for us because both of them have the best setups right now.
I'll do brick and wheat.
Oh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous because that road builder could be the win. Remember?
You're thinking if pink has a road builder.
Oh yeah. If pink has a road builder, it's road
Nice.
settle for the win. And why would she need a brick?
Get 9.
Right.
Because she wants to settle somewhere.
Yep.
If you get another road, you should be at 9. 5.
Anything other than
I'll do 2 wheats.
She has the army.
1 wheat.
Yeah, but you have a face down card and you have 6,
1 wheat. Thank you.
7, 8, 9. I get 2 wheats.
So, so Brian does have a down dev, which we kind of established could be.
I think he's had it for a while. So if it was a knight,
Not that 8's free. An 8 would be nice.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 longest road is.
nine.
Oh, nicely done.
2 roads and a set.
Yeah, Brian could easily be on 9
Another
here.
road. Keep him from getting longest road.
That's a smart play.
Unless you trade me a bunch of stuff. No, good.
Well, we haven't rolled an 8, so it's hurting both of us. 10. I'll take 2 sheeps.
3 wheats.
2 sheep and a wheat.
Remember, we talked about this too. If the 3 rolls, Orange is in a real.
Might be it.
It's a road builder, right?
One. Longest road.
Yeah. It's
Oh, fucking hell. I had a monopoly and I was.
2,
I
3,
just pulled
4,
it too.
5, 6, 7, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
She had 2 VPs down.
I had a monopoly
So that was it.
Wow.
You want to pause there and this
Yeah.
is kind of post-game issue. So tell me your thoughts. What's your reflection there? You kind of called that in a way. It wasn't a road builder card, but she got the wood that she needed and traded for a brick.
Yeah, I mean, road is just it's just sitting there for. I mean, two roads is you got to be careful when you're trading the person who's playing War Wheat Sheep road materials because it's usually equating to at least a point, right? Either in the form of a settle, which are very valuable for Or Wheat Sheep players, or
Yep.
snagging longest road with things like road builders.
Yep.
So she didn't flip a road builder. She just had a VP.
Yes, if I recall, she had she had 2 VPs down. She had enough wood and brick or enough cards. I think it was just wood and brick to build 2 roads. That's all she needed because there was no one with more than 4 roads. So all she needed was 2 more.
Yeah.
She used cards to build them.
Got it. Yeah, I think strategically, Orange or Brian had to secure road, and it's like at this point in the game when it becomes extra 2 points it could be the win for somebody. You got to make sure that it's in your back pocket and not somebody else's.
Right.
So I think in Brian's case, there were some opportunities where either he could have bought some development cards to take away army or to use his cards to drop extra roads. Yes, it makes him a bigger threat, but at least it does balance the board in a way that doesn't give somebody that blitzkrieg win.
Right. Yeah.
As far as Lindsay here, I mean, she lost pacing, unfortunately for her in terms of, what was her win condition? Because usually the best chance of winning is either you get road or army. You can build the 10, but that's usually considered the less effective way to do it.
Yes.
And that's the position she was in, was building to 10 at that point.
Right.
And then
And she got blocked. She got blocked a decent amount early on.
she did. And kudos to her for being quiet because I don't think I could have been. I think I would have been causing a storm on the table a little bit.
Right.
So yeah, I think she got a little bit overrobbed given the fact that Brianna was kind of holding down the development cards. She had pacing on army, which was pretty big for her.
Yes.
And then Orange was really waiting for the 3. And his life took off once the 3 rolled, but it was just too late. He had to secure road too. I think Lindsay was absolutely right in saying like, hey, you should drop an extra road because that's your only way to win anyways.
Right.
So
and Lindsay did a good job of that. She was talking to people about getting longest road to block Brian, and maybe helping people out. But ironically, she could have helped Pink. She actually talked about Pink building longest road, and that's what ended up hurting her.
It's dangerous when you're getting all these points from special points, right? I mean, largest army. I mean, it's more or less she built I think 5 points, and then she pulled the other 5 points came from development cards and road.
Yes, yeah, and she had the ideal combination
for 6 points.
Right. She had 3 knights and 2 VPs that she pulled.
Yeah,
I mean it's a pretty ideal combination. When you get that, it's hard to beat. I think she told me later she got the VPs earlier, or at least one of them early on, which isn't great. But yeah, Lindsay on the other hand, like you pointed out, had a pretty unideal combination. But to Pink's credit, I mean, to Brianna's credit, she played it well. She didn't, dropped everything at the end. What aspects of her play do you think showed the skill level there?
Well, unfortunate for her, usually a lot of people when they get plowed, like when they lose that settle spot, it's a very discouraging thing because it kind of feels like somebody's got an advantage on you early on and now you're behind. So to be able to kind of push through that early discouragement is a skill in itself. It's something that you have to learn. And then the way that, she actually almost went to the 6, 11, 12 when she went to drop the road. And you could see her mind at work saying, well, hold on. Actually, the 9, 12 is a much more strategic and advantageous spot for me. So those little moments when you catch yourself, it shows that you are thinking and being thoughtful about the game.
Yes.
And she clearly, she did it to the point where she won the game.
Yeah, that move, I think you're right. Switching to the 6-12, I think was the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest decision she made, and that got her the game.
Yeah, the 9-12.
I'm sorry, the 9-12.
9-12, yeah.
9-12, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that decision won her the game for sure. Because without the flexibility of the wheat port and then also grabbing the 9-or on top of it, probably Brian gets army at that point, and then I think he wins with road and army instead.
Right.
So people kind of ask me, it's like, how do you win games? It's 1% every single move, right? It's not about every move has to be some big quantum leap of progression. It's usually coming down to just making small, really good decisions every turn.
Yep.
And those add up, which is exactly what Brianna did. So congratulations to her.
Yeah. Do you want to play the last few minutes? It's post-game analysis. Brianna will give a feedback.
Yeah, let's do it. That's awesome. And this, I actually really love the dynamic on this board. And I think if we saw it's interesting how the boards have certain potential, right? Like, for instance, let's say the 4s were rolled more, the 3s were rolled more. What kind of game would we have? What kind of energy would be on the board? And I actually think it would be something completely different. And these are things that when I'm looking at boards, I'm not thinking about, of course, you can look at the rolls and look at hindsight, but I'm looking at the potential energy of what certain rolls can do. So I like the way this game was played. I think it was very fun.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Damn. I gotta get off of residency. I had a road builder, and I was waiting for an 8 so I could build another segment. And then Monopoly, of like everybody's got this road. I'm pulling the wood.
Is that a victory by Brian?
Be like, I'm so sorry.
Wait, so what do you got? 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, longest
I have
road.
5, and then I had a Monopoly and a road building.
Yes,
so,
we're
like,
gonna picture, but first you get the.
Oh, you had
And I finally
Heights
got
Catan
one.
trophy.
The trophy. You got one, Drew, yourself.
Yeah,
That's our gimmick. That's the one thing we have that no one else has.
it's true. I proudly have it.
Nice.
All right, Brianna Hildreth, the new Heights Catan champion. Congratulations. You had a pretty crazy win at the end. You had 2 cities and 2 settlements.
4s.
Or no, I'm sorry.
I had 1 city.
1 city, 2
and
settlements.
3 settlements. So I only had 4
We both
on
got
the
that
board.
wrong. It was
And then I got 2 victory points.
Right.
I got longest road, and I got largest army.
Right, and you had largest army for a while.
6 points.
But it was that last move you got longest road and showed your victory points all at once.
That's correct.
Yeah. So and you had that in mind for a few turns before.
I had which one?
Well, you had that plan like for several turns before.
No, I actually just came up with it on the last round. I saw the opportunity
Yep.
to trade to get some wheat, and it worked out.
Right. Nice. Congratulations. You'll be
Thank
going to
you.
Minnesota pretty soon.
I hope so.
Right, congrats.
Thanks.
this was our favorite. 2 people came in, one with sheep all over her sweater, and another one with "We don't need your freaking sheep."
That was awesome. Mark, I think that was a great game, and I think what you and Vicky and everyone else are doing there at Cleveland Heights is awesome. So I'd be very proud to keep promoting, the
Excellent.
culture that you have there.
Yes, and I hope people check out your. Where can they find you on Twitch?
My handle Dandy Drew. It's kind of universal. So I think my YouTube is just at Dandy Drew or youtube.com/@DandyDrew. Danny Drew Catan, that should get you there.
Perfect.
And also on Twitch. So
Nice. And I hope you come to the next Heights Catan tournament.
yeah, well, that will have to be for next season because I'm going to nationals with.
Yes. We'll see you in Minnesota.
Yeah, sounds good. Any final words, Mark? Anything for signing off?
Just I guess the last thing I'd say is it's all about having fun. I think we have a lot of fun at our tournament. I've had fun playing with you, so let's hope everyone else does too.
Awesome. I agree.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Appreciate it.
Mark,
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
All
And
right,
everyone,
you too.
hope you enjoyed the video and would love to hear your feedback. So
Excellent.
thank you. Take care.